If you're someone who disassociates a lot, or you have ADD, a lot of people will tell you that that is a trait that you have that will forever work against you in your life, and it's just something you kind of have to live with. But as someone that has that trait and has put a lot of effort into finding ways to have it work for you rather than against you, it doesn't have to be that way. In reality, it's quite the opposite. You can kind of use it as a superpower. So for example, you can choose what you disassociate from. So if you're pursuing a goal or ambition, there's going to be thoughts and feelings and emotions that you experience that would hinder your progress. But if you can kind of harness this power of disassociation, as funny as it may sound, you can choose to disassociate from these things and take away the power that they once had over you. So really, you can kind of pull yourself out of these things that negatively affect you. So you're really using it for your own good, right? And all of a sudden, this thing that the world tells you is like this defect that you have, or this disease that you have, or disorder, kind of becomes a superpower. And I'm going to tell you how to actually do that in more detail in a little bit. But first, it's about to storm, and I have to get a workout in, so you're going to come with me. Well, this just looks like paradise. Anyways, like I was saying, I try to keep these as realistic as possible, and the reality is, this is what the process looks like 99% of the time. So why would I try and show you guys something that's not realistic? Hello guys. Well, it's been a while. I think you got a little bit of dust on you there, but that's okay. We're about to talk business here. I want to talk business, okay? Like I mentioned earlier in the video, and you can tell by the title, this one is about dissociating. And, you know, the world, actually first, I wanted to show you something. Guys, check out my t-shirt. I just bought it today. Alien vs. Predator. I thought it was cool. If you can't tell, I collect a lot of horror stuff, so I wanted to show my friends my new t-shirt. Anyways, yeah, the whole world tells you that disassociating, or, you know, ADD or anything related is a burden, you know, and it can be, certainly sometimes, if you don't know how to control it, how to work with it. And I took it upon myself to do, or figure out how to do that, how to work with this thing that doctors and professionals tell you is a disorder. Because I figured, well, if I can't just eradicate this this trait of disassociating that I have just away from me, right? If it's part of me, then I might as well just own it. I should just fully embrace and figure out how to use it to my advantage. And so I thought to myself, why is it that I can only disassociate from things that I'm meant to be actually focusing on? I wonder if there's a way that I can figure out how to disassociate from things that can hold me back, negative things, negative thoughts, feelings, etc. For example, what if I could flip the script, and instead of disassociating in class when I need to focus, I can disassociate from a negative thought that is telling me to skip a day in the gym, or I can disassociate from a feeling of not wanting to study for an extra hour. And just in general, disassociate from this negative force that seems to just constantly be present in our lives trying to stray us away from our path, you know? Take us away from, it tries to weaken us. And really what that is evil. What if you could just disassociate from evil and all its tactics and energies and forces and whatever? What if you could just disassociate from that? That would be one great thing. And I've figured out how to do that. And you may ask, well, Tyson, tell us already. Stop yapping. It's going to be a little bit interesting trying to explain, because disassociating is kind of like a subconscious process in itself. Those of you who are avid disassociators can disassociate on command. And typically, you just stare into the distance and it just kind of happens, and everything, you know, like I can kind of do it right now, just as I'm sitting here talking to you. It's somewhat of an automatic thing. You know, you just stare and your vision kind of goes blurry. And, oh man, it's really difficult to explain, guys. I think you'll know what I'm talking about. If you disassociate and it's something like, you know what I'm saying. It's not really like a conscious thing, but what triggers it is that just blank stare. And so when I get a negative thought or feeling that, say I'm supposed to get up at a certain time and my alarm goes off and there's a voice in my head that says, nah, it's okay, just sleep for another hour or put it on snooze. We'll wake up in the next alarm. I do the same blank stare, and you just kind of become aware of the fact that it's just a voice. And just like everything else that disappears into the fog as you disassociate, it also does just that. It has no actual power over you. It has no real say, it's just noise. And when you trigger this disassociation, it just kind of fades away. And your inner dialogue becomes silent, and your mind becomes clear, and it just makes it easier. You're getting the debris out of the way. You're quieting this negative noise, this negative presence in your head. And it just makes it that much easier to make the right decision. You're shifting this rather passive ability to disassociate from life and directing this ability, this power you have, to something that is standing in your way. And you can kind of just walk through it. It's like it's not even there anymore. The reason I think this is so effective is because really where that negative voice or that emotion that is telling you to sleep in or skip the study session or skip the gym or eat that thing that you shouldn't eat or drink that drink that you shouldn't drink is when you give power to it, when you feed into this voice, this emotion, and you kind of, you give it power by interacting with it. You reason with it. You're conscious of it. And you allow it to have space in your mind. And just by doing that, just by validating its presence in any way, shape, or form, that's what gives it power. And that's why we fall into these temptations so much. Evil, right? Because that's what it is. These negative voices, they seem small, they seem harmless, whatever. But they are evil. They are rooted in evil. Because that's how it works. Evil uses temptation and manipulation and deception in many different ways. It can do that in many, many, many different ways. It may be addiction. It may be that negative voice that everyone experiences. It may be, you know, everyone has a vice, a weakness, and it will attack that day in and day out at every chance it gets, just to weaken you, because that's its purpose. Its sole purpose is to stray you away from your path of righteousness, of greatness, of achievement and love and passion and all these things that we desire in life. It wants to strip you away of that. It wants to strip you of your health. But with all that said, it really has no power in this world unless we give it power. And we do that, again, by validating its identity, its presence. But if you're simply not bothered, it can't do anything. Doesn't matter what it does, because you're keeping the power to yourself. You're simply walking through it. The way I like to visualize it is like, if you're on this path, this very, very, very long path, and you know it's paved strip of dirt, and there's like a dark forest that engulfs this path, and it lies on either side of you, and there's grass and trees and creatures and animals. And your goal, right, is to just stay straight on this path, stay committed to this path. And every now and then, evil will send a little creature to lurk out and grab your legs, or try to at least. It'll send out a little troll to try and spark fear in you. But you're a strong knight, if you will, that stands tall in shining armor, and you wield a sword, only one crafted in the world, and only you bear the power to wield this sword, right? And it has your name engraved on it, and it shines in the sunlight as well as the moonlight. And these creatures come out and they crawl and they try and get in your way. They hiss at you and try to tell you bad things and get you into a bad headspace, and they try and lurk you into the forest. But you, being the strong, noble knight that you are, you just continue walking. You can't be bothered. In fact, you look down at these goblins, these creatures that are trying to weaken you out of pity. You pity them. It is sad how desperate their attempts are to stray you away from your path. But you remain committed. You remain committed. You know, and like, you disassociating from these things is like you just keeping your head forward and not even looking down at these creatures, this evil that lies at your feet. That's all it is, you know, like when that voice comes into your head and says, skip it, eat it, who cares, whatever, you know, give up, you know, you don't have what it takes, whatever it is, whatever form this evil takes in your life, you can't be bothered. You simply can't be bothered. You have a goal, you have a mission, you have a destination to get to. This will not stand in your way. It simply will not. And so disassociate from these things. Don't even validate their presence, their identity in your life. Just continue on, my friend. Just continue on. You know, you want to be so dialed in, so finely tuned that the right actions, the disciplined actions, the right thoughts, the correct headspace, and internal atmosphere just happens on autopilot. It's like a well-oiled machine that is admired by the best engineers in the world. Nothing anyone can replicate. That is what you should strive to become. You know? And when you even get remotely close to this level of operating, the things in your life that have once had so much power over you, the things that really did stray you away from your path, be it people or evil itself, you simply cannot be bothered. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because you will operate as you do, one way or another. And that, my friend, is why disassociation is a superpower. That is how you use it to become the person that you strive to be, the person you envision. I'm excited for you, my friend, and I want to thank you for your time. I'll see you soon.